back, DVS family. Now, we're always having our eyes and ears on the ground for anything new, anything big going on in St. Lucia. And I think today's show really ties into all of that. We have a man on the screen who some of you may not recognize, but trust me, you know who he is. Today we're with Dro. He's one half of the Fanatics. One of I'd like to say the biggest production teams we have on the scene right now. I mean, you're putting out some major projects and you've continued to do so over the past 8 years, I believe.
Yep, absolutely. It's been building from the last 8 years. Fanatics got put together. So it's me and shout out to C. He's back in London, but he's also of Caribbean descent. I'm just out here on a family holiday and I've happened to end up on national TV, so it's a good look.
All right. And I mean, you mentioned that you've been coming to St. Lucia with your family since you were a wee little tot. What, about 7, 8 years old?
Six years old. So my grandparents came to London in the Windrush generation, worked hard. My gran was a nurse, my granddad was a bus driver, and they saved up their money, came back, built in St. Lucia. So from a kid, we've been out here, and St. Lucia is like a second home to me, to be real.
All right, so we're here with an honorary St. Lucian who's doing big things on the international scene. We know that St. Lucians do big things at home and out in the world, so this is no surprise to us. But what you've been doing, I mean, it's a first for our features here, I believe, on DBS this morning. You've been working with major artists in the scene. I mean, let me not even go into the list. Give us a sample of the artists you've been working with.
We work with Popcorn, Skilly Bang, Beanie Man, Idris Elba, Coffee, Davido. There's a load of UK artists that some of you may be familiar with, like Chip, Gigs, Stylo G. We done Touchdown with Stylo G and Nicki Minaj, Vibes Cartel. So yeah, we've been active.
Absolutely. I mean, what has the experience been like? And I know usually when people get into music, there's a very specific reason behind it. Maybe they would have seen elders in their family in the music industry, or they would have had their own, passion to probably be an artist one day. So what was your push to get into the industry, and what's it been like for you so far?
To be fair, as a child, music was never something that I ever thought I would end up doing. My parents made sure I was at church every Sunday, every service going. Do you know what I mean? Every convention or whatever. And the thing that drew me about church was the music. So I started off playing drums and things like that. And that was like kind of a healthy distraction in church for me. And then just from there, I kind of just learned choirs and harmonies, like la, la, la. All of that stuff kind of comes into play with things that I do now. So that was kind of my foundation in learning music. And then after that, I went to college and just studied how to make beats. And I used to be an artist myself, so I used to rap, and I used to hit loads of glass ceilings as an artist. I couldn't get people on my tracks and get the right level of exposure. And when I would try and get features, they would always say to me, "Who made your beats?" So I heard that too many times, and I just said, you know what, I need to take myself off these beats and see if I can get people on there. And I teamed up with C. We formed the Fanatics, and then from there it's just kind of gone leaps and bounds.
Absolutely. And speaking of leaps and bounds, I know in recent years you've been stepping out from behind the scenes, so maybe a bit back more into your original path of being an artist, because Fanatics has been putting out tracks and featuring different artists. So what was that vision like for you, and was it like, seeing it come to life? I mean, Idris Elba, Stylo G, Coffee on your tracks, what's that like?
Do you know what? I'd never take anything for granted. I know how hard this is for some people, and I don't think that this music game is necessarily about talent. It's a lot of good fortune. I know so many talented people that in my journey of working have kind of fallen off just because of life responsibility, paying bills, because music's not paying their bills, and then they end up just getting pulled away from it and just knock it on the head completely. So I'm grateful that certain things have aligned for me. It's a lot of persistence. It's not about thinking you're going to earn money. You have to genuinely have a love for it, because when it comes to the business side of things and all of that, that can be so daunting and draining that, people can lose the passion for it. So you, first of all, just have to love making music and hone your skills. And that's all I can really say. Just hone your skills and try and identify opportunities that may not even look like opportunities.
Absolutely.
You have to push yourself.
And you mentioned the business of music, and I know that's a big thing for sure, especially being sustainable in an industry like that. So What's that looking like for you? I know you mentioned that you're actually signed to a record label now.
Yeah, we're signed to Columbia Records in the UK. That's under Sony Records. So it's a major label. So it's a very much more intricate process than just doing music and releasing it yourself. There's a lot more conversations and clearances and things like that. But at the same time, it allows and facilitates for you to have features like Davido and coffee and all that, because it's a very expensive proposition.
All right, so let's bring it back into St. Lucia. I know when you spoke about your grandparents living in Soufrière, you did say that you would visit a bit. So you have any favorite sites? I know the Sulphur Springs, everybody loves the Sulphur Springs. So let's leave that one out. That one is a given. But what are your favorite spots in St. Lucia?
I do like Rodney Bay. It's chill. It's nice and calm. But to be honest, Soufrière it's almost like a different country within itself. Like when I go to Soufrière, I just feel like I'm almost on a retreat, like a health retreat where there's just nothing to do but just breathe clean air and just relax. Like drag your feet, you put on your sliders and you just drag your feet down the road. And yeah, Sulphur Springs, the botanical gardens, the waterfront. Like I've been here loads of times for jazz and for the carnival, so I've been all around the different islands, Pigeon Point, Jazz in the Square, and all of that. And to be honest, my plan would be to kind of come out here and try and bridge the gap between the UK music and St Lucian, because I know it's probably very hard for St Lucian artists out here, and there's a lot more infrastructure where I come from. So even if there was just any advice I could give people, or if there's any local talent that we feel our styles could merge with and stuff like that, we're open for that kind of stuff as well.
All right. And I mean, we know they're watching. Have you had a chance to check out any local music since you've been here?
Literally, who was I listening? I was listening to, is it Denry?
Denry Segment?
Segment. Yeah, Denry Segment. They're a vibe. And a lot of, I'm half Jamaican and half St. Lucian. So a lot of the music we've done, we've made a lot of headway in Jamaica with dancehall. But do you know what? When I listen to the soca, I feel like we could build a vibe like that. Definitely.
All right. I mean, you mentioned you've been here for carnivals, but nothing is going to be like the carnival that is coming up this year. I mean, after 2 years,
And that's in
it's a
July,
lot
right?
of yes.
Yeah, we're here now.
It sounds like your schedule is way tied up, but we can look out for you probably in other years.
Definitely. Like I said, I would like to come and have my own event in St. Lucia and bring the artists that we've worked with to St. Lucia, and bring a crowd from the rest of the islands to St. Lucia and just increase the tourism and stuff like that. I'm very patriotic about St. Lucia, so I want St. Lucia to win.
And that's something we always advocate for, patriotism. And it's one of the major reasons why we had to have you on the show, because we love to see St. Lucians doing big things. We love to see St. Lucians following their passions, and you're really living that truth. And speaking of that, I mean, we did mention that you are putting out your own tracks, Fanatics putting out tracks and featuring different artists. And you did release a recent project called Vroom with some big names on there. So tell us a bit about how that project came together.
Man, so that song was like 2 years in the making, believe it or not, because we were navigating the whole COVID situation. But we had a beat, and we got in with a songwriter called Jinjin and wrote the chorus for Vroom. And it's a song about big flashy cars. And the first person that came to my head was Idris Elba, because I was thinking, he can talk that talk. He's like the biggest Hollywood actor from England. So he can talk about Maseratis and Bugattis or whatever car he wants to mention. It's believable. And he'd recently released a song called Boasty, where I was like, yo, this guy can flow. So we managed to get in touch with him, and he straight away just put a verse on it. And you know what? He helped us get all of the rest of the artists on there. So he helped us get Davido, he helped us with Coffee and everyone. So he really came through for us. And he's actually working on a project as well that we're quite involved with. But that process there took a very long time, and then just the business, navigating everyone's schedules, shooting the video. We had to do it in 4 parts in different regions of the world. So there's a lot of effort that went into it. And then it ended up being used in the new PlayStation 5 Gran Turismo game as well, which was brilliant for the promotion of the song. And it's going really well. And I hope St. Lucia like it, man. I'm trying to make St. Lucia proud.
For sure. And we are actually going to be featuring the music video of this track
Jeez.
in the next segment of the show. So you definitely have to keep it locked to see that. Just about one more question for you, because I know you mentioned that this track took a while. And I feel like that's an area of expertise that you could share with local artists, because what we see a lot of the time is that the young artists come up and they expect things to happen now for now. So put out a song, put out a music video, but had they spent more time nurturing it and working on the idea, it could have gone a lot further.
Like I said earlier, like don't do music thinking you're just gonna get that bag. Like it doesn't work like that. Some people are very fortunate and they might have a song that connects, but again, if you have a quick success, a lot of the time you don't have anything to follow up with.
Yeah.
So taking your time, creating a project and homing your skills, like again, you can place a lot of hopes on a song thinking this is going to be the one, this one's going to mash up the world, but not necessarily. And if it doesn't, you need something else to come after it and create like consistency. That's what builds a good fan base.
All right. And on that note, we're sending you into a quick commercial break. To keep it locked because, like we said, the music video for Vroom is coming up right after. Thank you so much, Dro, for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm very grateful.